Hey guys, welcome back to another 3D printing video. And in this video, we got a pretty special printer here made by EcubMaker. And the thing that makes this quite interesting is that it has 4 interchangeable tool heads. So in this video, we're gonna unbox it, set it up, and try all the different functions. So I'm pretty excited about this one, so let's get started. Alright, so this is the box that it comes in, and it's actually quite a decent sized box, and it's large, and it does have a good weight to it. Here we can see the model, which is called TOYDIY 4-in-1 3D printer. So that is the box size there, and then our weight is 14 kilograms, which is I guess about 30 pounds or somewhere around there. It's quite heavy for being, you know, a printer that's more on the small size. And the box is actually quite nice. We have a little picture here of the printer, and it seems to be well protected. All right, so let's get this thing open. I'm gonna tilt it over and see a little better. Let's go ahead and cut the tape. All right, so it looks like we have a foam pad here on the top. So it looks like everything is extremely well packed. Well, we do get a really nice manual here, and it looks like it's already calibrated on the Z offset because somebody wrote in pen here 1.2, I guess the offset in millimeters. So yeah, it looks like quite a nice and complete manual that kind of shows you and explains how to use everything. So there's a large box right here, and it probably has a lot of our accessories in there. Let's go ahead and take everything out of the box here. So here it looks like we have the main printer, and that appears to be everything in the box. So the main printer, well, I guess we can't really call this thing a printer since it does many things. I guess the main tool or the main base, all assembled looks like, and nestled in this foam. Wow, this thing is very interesting looking, and it's quite heavy duty. Like, it's got a lot of weight to it. Actually quite impressed here on the first impressions of the machine. So it looks like here we have the dual extruder ptfe tubings, and then it looks like we have the universal plug here that'll plug into our tools. Something wrapped and bubble wrapped and tape. All right. And there also looks to be like a little zip tie there that's holding everything together. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but everything is blacked out on this printer. It's actually quite attractive looking. I'm actually quite curious what is in this box here. We have more little boxes. And here we have, looks like a tool head. So this is the laser tool head. Let's take a peek at it and see what it looks like. So this is what the tool heads look like. So that appears to be the laser. And then we got a fan here up front. And this is where we're going to plug in that plug we saw earlier. And I guess this is the mount for the tool change. So everything is plastic. Now the piece inside is all metal. I can see that. And I'm guessing this fan is to blow on the heatsink of the laser there to keep it cool. And here's something interesting. There's some kind of mechanism here that if you push it down, there's a pin here that comes out. And then when you click on this little lever here, it pops it back up. Kind of curious what that's for. Very cool. All right, well, that's the laser. So I'm just gonna stack the tool heads to the side. So the next tool head we have is the dual nozzle FDM. And this is what that looks like. So it looks like we have 2 entrances here. That same plug there. We actually still have the same pin thing on this tool head also. A fan up here to blow on the heat break inside. And there's our heat block. And what's interesting, it only has 1 nozzle, even though it's a dual, because what it does is it just alternates between the 2 and mixes it, you know, in 1 nozzle. So this tool head is for dual color printing. And obviously not just dual, but you can do a single color with this head also. So this would be your 3D printing head, and then your laser cutting head. And then we have a CNC tool head. And that's what this guy looks like. So on the top, we're pretty much looking the same. We still have this pin here. But we can see here that we have the little CNC tip here of the motor where we're going to put our little blade in. And I can feel that this is definitely a motor that spins up in there. It's pretty awesome how they were able to create these different heads for one printer. All right, the next box I can see here is called the toolkit. And here it shows you what is inside this box. And we definitely got quite a few things in here. So let's go over it really quick. So here it looks like we have the SD card, a Phillips screwdriver, some tools, extra parts, couplers, USB adapter to read the SD card, and a pretty large glue stick here too. So here we have some parts that look like maybe is part of the CNC bracketing, where you're gonna bolt your piece of wood down. And we do have the blade in there also, and some magnets. Yeah, very interesting. We also get a USB cable to connect from the printer to the computer. So here we have a box, and that looks like it's the power supply to the printer. Quite a fancy one. It is 24 volts, 5 amps. We also get the power cord for the power adapter. And here it looks like we have some kind of little, okay, so these are glasses, I guess for the laser maybe, and the CNC. Very nice. That's pretty awesome that they included glasses. All right, very cool. So here it looks like they gave you a few pieces to engrave in. So we have some plexiglass. Hopefully you guys can see it. And I think these are just wood panels that you can burn stuff into it with the laser, like make pictures and stuff. That's awesome that, you know, you got quite a few samples here to play with. All right, so in here it looks like we also have the, what appears to be a magnetic bed with a print surface on top of it. But this is the kind of print surface that's really smooth, so you probably will have to use some glue on this kind. But it is somewhat flexible, so you could pop them off quite easy. Goes on the bed here. Okay, it does. It does stick to it. It's magnetic. All right, so we do get a magnetic build plate. So also included is an extra build plate sticker. And for the last piece, it looks like we have a CNC carving raft. So I guess this is kind of like a template maybe. And it does have holes. It looks like we'll be able to mount it to the bed here. So yeah, we definitely have a few things to learn here about this printer. So that's everything for the toolkit box. So it looks like we have a few more things. And it appears to be some filament and a filament holder. All right, so let's check out the filament holder real quick. So it looks like it's just a metal bracket with 2 bolts here that go through here, and I'm guessing the filament just sits right on top of it, just like that. So let's check out what kind of filament we got. I can feel it that it's not very heavy, so it looks like we have PLA filament in here, and it appears to be only 1 roll. It is only 1 roll, and it's white. But yeah, the cartridge on the spool holder is really nice. I'm going to go ahead and open this thing up. Yeah, and it simply goes in like that. And then as the printer needs it, it'll pull it in. All right, so now that we unboxed everything and got it all out, let's go ahead and check out the manual here and see what it says. So it looks like they're telling us to start with the Dual-FDM toolhead to go ahead and install it into this cradle here. All right, so it looks like I need to cut this little zip tie here that's in the way. And this should be free. Okay, it is. All right, and it's feeling really good and smooth and very stable. All right, so let's grab the dual extruder tool head here and put it on there. Now, the way it goes on, it looks like it's quite simple. There's 2 little brackets here, little grooves, and it'll slide around here, little lips here. Hopefully you can see that. But yeah, it'll simply just go over and just go right on it like that. And so now it's on. So there is a screw that goes right on top of here. Hopefully you guys can see, but right there, there's a screw that's supposed to go in there, and it kind of holds the tool head so it doesn't, you know, go up like that. It keeps it from vibrating out. And so in the Ziploc bag where the glue stick is, I see a knob, kind of like a little knob with a bolt. And I'm pretty sure that's what goes in here. Let's try it out. Okay, it is. Awesome. All right, so it looks like that is good. So for the next part, we need to go ahead and plug in the printer to the power source. And here on the back, we can see that's where the power plugs in. So we're gonna grab our power adapter, plug it right to the back here. So once you plug the brick in, you're gonna have a little green light here, and we should have power going to the printer. So after looking at the manual more and more, I realized that there's really no step-by-step here because most of it's pretty much assembled and it's ready to go. It's mostly kind of guiding you how to use the different tools and, you know, how to change them out, and then, you know, how to use the slicer in order to use the tool. So I guess we'll just have to figure that out as we go. So our dual color tool head here obviously does both things, 1 color or 2. So we can go ahead and set this thing up. So the ptfe tubings just go right into the couplers here. So the 2 colors will correspond to the 2 dual extruders here in the back. So on mine, looks like the red one is the lower one and the blue one is the one higher than that. And so the only reason that matters is because when we're going to be slicing this, we're going to need to know which one is extruder 1 and extruder 2, and we'll figure that out quite shortly here. And as far as where they plug, I don't think it really matters. So I'm just going to make the red one here on the, I guess, right side if you're looking at it, and then the blue one on the other side. And so then we're going to take our plug and we're just going to plug it into the socket here of the tool head, just like that. All right, so I think the next thing we can do is we can go ahead and power on the printer and see if it functions and does everything that it's supposed to do. So let's go ahead and power it on and see what happens. So there's a pretty large button here, and it does glow yellow, very nice. And here on the top we have a little screen, and that's going to be our interface. And here's a knob that we can control that, scrolling and then pushing to enter. If you go to utility, here you have an option of out of home. So I want to do that and see what happens. So let's go ahead and click on out of home. All right, so it's moving around. So now it's going up, and I'm guessing the Z-axis home, I guess, is on top, which makes sense for this printer because of the multi-tools that it uses. Okay, so it looks like it's going back down now. Okay, so it's going down to the bed. So we're going to see if that is leveled out correctly or not. All right, I don't know if you guys saw that, but it automatically used this little probe here that we looked at earlier. All right, so I don't know exactly what to do next except for, I guess, kind of look over the machine, make sure everything's okay. And then maybe we can feed some filament into it and try to do our first single color print and see what happens. So in the manual I did find the extruder layout here, and you guys can see that the extruder number 1 is on the top and extruder number 2 is on the bottom. So that means on our printer that the blue here is extruder number 1, which is the main extruder, and then the red one would be the dual extruder option, which is the extruder on the bottom part, just to clear up the dual extruder part. So when we are going to feed our filament for the single nozzle extrusion, we're going to feed it into the blue one, which is the extruder on the top here. So I think the printer is pretty much ready to do printing, and I'm pretty sure it's adjusted from the factory, especially that they had it marked that the Z-axis offset was, you know, set at a certain spot. So I'm pretty confident it's going to be okay. So let's just go ahead and load the filament. We're just going to treat it like a normal 3D printer, single nozzle. So let's go ahead and flip this thing around. And I guess for the first print, we'll use our provided filament here. Not sure how well the spool holder is going to work with the single spool, but we'll try it out either way. So we're going to use our top extruder for the single color, just like we would do normally. So I'm going to go ahead and push it all the way through. Let's flip it back around. So I grabbed the camera off the tripod so you guys can see the screen here. So this is the options that we have. So let's click on filament. We do have a few options here. Let's check them out. That seems good to me. Okay, so we do have a preheat here. So let's try that. The head. Okay, there it goes. So it's going to preheat to 200. Let's just go ahead and load filament. I think that would make sense. Load 1 up or load 2 down filament. I'm not sure exactly what that means. I guess 1 up. Alright, so it's heating up. And I guess once it's heated, we'll see what it does. So one thing that's pretty cool that I noticed on this printer is it actually has a light. And it's right here on the top. This whole little part here is glowing, which is really cool. So that's a really nice touch here. Alright, so I can hear that it's pulling in the filament, and there it goes. You guys can see it's coming out the bottom over there. And so this printer has like a little clean out little chute here with 2 little rubber end stops here that clean the nozzle. It's still going on its own. Okay, it says press the button to stop. There we go. So I guess it purges just enough to get your old filament out of the print head so you can start a new one. Alright, so let's grab our full-size SD card and see if anything's on it. Alright, so it looks like it read something. Print from SD card. And here you guys can see we have some test files, looks like. Have laser engraving test, dual nozzle test, and then here's the single one, looks like, and then CNC carving. So I think this is the one we need, so let's go with that. Okay, so it's doing something. Alright, so it's going up. So my guess is it's probably doing the homing right now. Oh wow, look at that. It actually clicks that button right there. Pushed it in where this piece now is poking out. So I guess it's like end stop switches. Okay, so now it's measuring the bed with the other end. Okay, so it just clicked itself off. It hit the motor here and then reset the switch to go back up. So it's doing something. I guess it's measuring itself from the bed to the top and all that other stuff. Very interesting. So it's at the top again. Looks like it's gonna switch. And there it goes. And now it's going back down, I guess. Heading down pretty quick. All right, so it looks like it's measuring the bed now. Look at that. So it's taking a measurement of the bed right now. I guess the heights everywhere, so you can, I guess, adjust to it as it prints. So it appears that this printer is a little bit more automated than I thought. So without even, you know, asking it or figuring out how to level this bed, it's already doing that on its own. So far it seems to be very friendly overall. Okay, so it reset itself again. Okay, so now it's preheating the nozzle, looks like that's what it's doing. So I guess we're waiting for the nozzle to heat and then maybe the bed after that. All right, so it looks like it now switched to the bed and it's warming the bed up. Okay, so I guess once that's done, I'm guessing it's gonna start printing. So we'll see here shortly. Pretty exciting and a little bit worrisome, I guess, because hopefully, you know, it knows what it's doing here and it's offset correctly. But I have a feeling that, you know, they got it all set up for you. Because it's already pre-built and ready to go, you know, it seems like they're concentrating on the ease of use. All right, so the bed is there. It should start moving here shortly. And it actually started purging the filament. All right. And those work really good. You can see it just cleans the nozzle. Okay, it looks like we're printing. We had a little blob there. But so far it looks okay. Now I didn't put any glue on there. I totally forgot. Let's see if we can do it without the glue or not. But yeah, it appears to be like it's adjusted well because it seems like it's laying down a good bead. Sticking to it. Yeah, I think it'll be alright. It started printing. So yeah, we have started a print. Not sure what it is or how long it's going to take. And hopefully it'll stick. I didn't put any glue on there. I'm starting to feel a little nervous. Maybe I should have, since they did include the glue. But that's okay. We're just going to risk it and let it print, and we'll see how it does. So yeah, guys, as you can see, I didn't really do anything or had to figure out anything at all. It just kind of worked and started printing. And that's a really big plus, especially for something, you know, that's kind of complicated with interchangeable tool heads. It's nice to know that it just works out of the box. And then we can just figure it out as we learn the machine. So the first layer seems very promising. I'm going to let it do its thing and we'll come back and check on it in a little bit. So it looks like it's boogieing along and everything is looking really good. It looks like it's printing in vase mode because it's just doing the outer layer. But so far, what I can see, it looks great. So here's what our display is reading. We got 200 Celsius. Then we have the bed at 50. I guess that's the percentage done, which is 13%. This is the time that passed since it started. And I guess there's some information there, filament loading finished. So if we click the knob, here we can see we have a few options. We can pause the print, stop the print, or tune. If we go to tune, these are the options we have. We have speed, fan, nozzle temperature, and then the bed. So pretty straightforward and looks like pretty easy to use. We'll go back to the main menu, and that's what we see. So I'm just gonna let this thing print away, and we'll see what happens to it when it's done. All right, and look at that, guys. It's actually finished. And it took 1 hour and 30 minutes exactly, even with all that calibration in the beginning. So the part that I'm really excited to try is, you know, this flexible bed here that's magnetic. And looking at this print just sitting there, it looks really good. So let's go ahead and peel the bed. That was quite easy. So it hasn't really cooled down yet. It's kind of hot, but let's see if it pops off. And of course, it just comes right off. And it looks really good. So hopefully you guys can see this pretty well. Look how good those layers bonded in the spiralized mode. Actually turned out way better than I thought it was going to be. And there's very minimal noise or anything funny in the print. And it's actually quite thick, so I think it was extruding maybe a really thick layer. And it's quite strong. So yeah, it turned out great. I would actually say amazing, to be honest. So as far as the first print goes, looks like we were very successful. There's no issues there. So for the next part, I think we should naturally go to the multicolor or the dual color and use both of the extruders. And there's a test file with the SD card, so we can go ahead and print that. And we'll get to see how the dual color works with this printer. All right, so I brought another spool and we're gonna use this Overture PLA of red with the white. And you guys can see I already pushed the red through my bottom extruder and the white is here on the top one. So theoretically, this shouldn't be too difficult. So yeah, all we gotta do now is just go to the print from SD card and then choose our dual print file here. And that's it. And the printer is gonna activate and start printing. So as you guys can see so far, this thing has, been pretty flawless. Of course, we're printing files that are already included, but slicing your own files should be easy, and we will be trying that next. The dual color and the single color also. So it's going through its motions, and I'm guessing this is what it has to do every time in order to print, but we'll see here in a second. And I think the reason we're getting such a good print here, at least on this first one, is because we are running on linear rails on all axes. And that helps a lot with precision. So it's going all the way up now. So what it did last time was it went and measured the bed. So let's see if it does that again. Okay, so I guess it does that every time. Which, I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. It just doesn't make sense why it does it every time. But maybe this is better, or maybe it has to do this because of the other tools that it uses. And they kind of have to, synchronize everything together. I'm going to let it do its thing, and when it starts printing, we'll wish it good luck, and hopefully we'll have a really nice dual print color. Alright, so it started printing, but for some reason there's nothing coming out of it. That's kind of odd. Maybe I poked in the red too far in. Let's see if it'll clear up and start working. Okay, so something's coming out now. Alright, it seems to be working now. Kind of hard to see, guys, but yeah, I can see it. It's definitely working now. Alright, so for some reason in the beginning, the white couldn't break through. And I think what happened was I pushed this red all the way down into the tip, but it wanted the white one first. And so the white was, crashing into the red maybe or something. So then off camera, I quickly pulled the red out a bit, and after that, it seemed to start going. So yeah, the first layer is definitely going down. It looks pretty good. Alright, so the print is done, and I got a little distracted and wasn't able to show you guys, but what it did was it purged here to the side as it changed the colors. Clean nozzle / purge chute here works really well. So instead of printing like a separate little block or something next to the model, it just purges to the side. So this print is done, and it took 1 hour and 20 minutes, and it looks really, really good. So I already accidentally touched it and broke it loose from the bed. It wasn't holding on very well, and here on the bottom we can see that there's a little bit of stringing because of that. I think I need to calibrate it just a little bit closer to the bed and it'll be perfect. But other than that, it turned out beautiful, and as you guys can see, the layers are sitting really good together. Here in the back we can see the seam right there. It's quite evident, but overall a very, very nice and successful print. And so this is how it does dual color, and it seems to be doing a great job. So far we printed these two items, which were on the SD card. And so before we move on to trying out the laser and the CNC part of this, I want to go ahead and print a normal benchy that I would slice and cure, and then maybe another print that's a dual color. I want to show you guys real quick how to do the offset, because I do need to go down just a little bit on the nozzle. So what we're going to do is go to offset here, and we're going to go to manual offset. And we can see that it's set at 1.20, which is actually what was written on the manual. And it's very close and good, but I think it needs to go down just a little bit. So we're going to add to that. I'm not sure how much I should add. So I'll just do a 0.25 now. 1.25. Hopefully that'll be better. So we're going to save it. And now it should be a little bit closer. So it's simple as that. So let's go to print to SD card here. I already sliced the benchy. And there it goes. It started. Alright, so I have two prints here that I've made. So here's our benchy. Let's look at that first. So I wanted to use a darker color here, and I used a gray, and it's just regular PLA. And as you can see, guys, the print turned out very nice. If you look at the sides here, you can see how even those layers are sitting. And there's our seam right there. So this is 0.16 layer height. Now there is some diagonal lines, and I think those are from the stepper motors. Cooling, it seems great. So I wasn't expecting the benchy to be this good, especially from a multi-tool machine, but it delivered very well on this benchy. And I would go as far as to say that it actually looks better than a lot of the dedicated 3D printers. And I think that, you know, these linear rails here have a lot to do with the precision, and it looks like that's showing up in the print here. So after the benchy, I decided to do another multi-print here that I sliced on my own, and as you can see, guys, right away I messed up. I did not bleed the filament enough, and so the gray kind of leached into the red, and you know, the red leached into the gray somewhat. But here we can kind of still get an idea of what we can get with a dual color print. And also the print quality, you guys can see, is very nice. Kind of the same as our benchy was, nice and accurate. It just looks good overall. So yeah, as we can see, so far as a 3D printer, This machine here does an excellent job. But obviously we can do a lot more with this than just, 3D print. So let's go ahead and change our tool head here to the laser one and see how that works. So it shouldn't be that complicated to switch our tool heads. All we got to do is unplug this plug. And I guess we do have to remove the ptfe tubing from here. And the reason for that is because this cable here is together. Now, if they would have made this cable separate from the ptfe tubings, what we could have done is just put the tool head to the side and, used the next tool head without constantly having to disconnect this. But this is not a big deal, obviously. You just push it and it comes right out. And so now it's completely free. So now we're just going to unscrew our little knob here. We're going to go straight up. And that's it. And that's how the tool head comes off. Very easy. So let's grab our laser. Now the laser is, quite simple. All we got to do is put it on here, put the tightener on it, and then plug the plug. But one thing to know about the laser is that there is a little, I don't know if you guys can see that little metal piece there. It actually churns. So you can just turn it with your finger. And that actually focuses the laser. So if you're having poor performance, you might need to adjust this focusing knob here, focus the beam a little better. So we do have these ptfe tubings that are just kind of laying there, but that shouldn't really affect anything. All right, so now that we changed to laser, let's go ahead and power the printer on. And so now what we need to do is go to utility and then go to change tool head. And here we're going to change it to, so it says right there, change to laser. It's asking us to unload the filament, which is pretty much unloaded, I think. So let's go to next. All right, so this part right here doesn't make any sense. It says remove the original tool head, but do not unplug the cable. So were we supposed to leave this connected still? I'm not sure about that. So let's just click on finish, see what happens. Okay, so it basically doesn't want us to unplug it while the machine is on. Okay, that makes sense. So now it's telling us to change the tool head. All right, so we did it right. It's just making sure we do it right from the beginning. Okay, so it wants us to turn it off now. It won't let me do anything, so we have to turn it off. Let's turn it back on. All right, so now we start off and it says right there, you guys can see it says laser 3D printer. So here we have a different option. We have laser printer guide. Okay, so here it kind of tells us how to operate it. Okay, so step 1, place objects. So I guess we're gonna grab the object, which is going to be this piece of wood. It's probably more like a cardboard that was included. Now I think what we need to do is we need to tape this down to the bed. All right, so I taped it with some blue tape. I went ahead and taped the 4 corners just because this blue tape is not that strong, but that should be good right there. So step 2 is out of home center. I guess we need to, okay, so it's doing something. I guess it's gonna out of home itself. All right, so we click the top, now it's going back down and we can see the finger is out, so it's about to probe it. All right, not sure what it's doing now. I guess that homed it and it's centered now because here it does say home center. So here in the next part we have laser pre-scan. So I'm guessing this is gonna give us a little preview of what it's about to do. So let's go ahead and click it and see what happens. All right, so it went up a bit. Okay, there it goes. All right, so I guess it's pre-scanning something. Okay, I can definitely tell that our wood is in the wrong spot. It looks like we need to go down just a bit. Okay, so it needs to go that way a bit and then down a bit. The cool part is I think we can just go ahead and move it on this magnetic bed. Yeah, okay, we can. All right, so I got it a little bit offset that way and a lot more offset down. And so if we pre-scan now, we can see it's starting right in the middle. And you guys will see that it goes straight to the edge and then to the other edge and then to the bottom and to the top. So that basically just means it's centered. So all right, so step 4 is set origin. I guess that means maybe adjust it. All right, and so now we're ready to print from our SD card. So we have to go through all those steps before we can initiate the actual lasering. Now don't forget that you need to wear your glasses. So I'm gonna put these on. I probably should have put them on already. All right, so now we're gonna choose the SD card and we're gonna find our test print. There we go, laser engraving test. All right, so here it goes. Okay, so it started and it's actually working, guys. I can see it's drawing something. Very cool. So it's making like little dots. It's dotting it. All right, so I'm just gonna let it do its thing and we'll see what it draws up with the laser. And I can smell the burning of wood. It's kind of hard to see, but there's just some smoke coming out of it. All right, so it's actually done and it turned out really, really good. So let's go ahead and get the tape off. And check that out, guys. That looks quite amazing. That is some very, very good detail. And there in the corner we can see it says EcubMaker. And we can see the super fine details in that lasering. So yeah, it looks like the laser is working very well on this machine. So I have to say, so far this 3D printer is definitely doing everything right. It's really easy to change the tool heads and everything just seems to work. So this 4-in-1 printer is turning out to be quite a capable printer. So there's one more tool that we still have, and that is the CNC. And so I'm really excited about this one because this has to do with carving, and you know, it's a little bit more serious. So let's go ahead and put this tool in and see if we can figure out how to get this thing going. And so for that, we're gonna need our baggie of CNC stuff, our CNC carving raft. So in the bag we have a tip that's included. It's a pretty fine tip, and we're going to insert it here into the CNC coupler. Also in the bag there's an Allen wrench that you're going to need to loosen the little set screw. So we're going to put it in there all the way down and then tighten the set screws. So let's go ahead and install the new tool head. So now we need to install this carving raft. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off the magnetic bed. And when we take that off, we can see that there is some holes here, and those are threaded, and that's to hold this raft in. And there's the same holes here. Now you do get 4 magnets also, and I'll show you guys what those are for. Basically you need 3 pieces for each corner. So you're going to need a magnet, which will go right on the end, kind of like that. And then your little bolt twisty will go just like that. And then we're going to put it through this raft and bolt it in. And so what's going to happen is whatever you lay on here, this is going to clamp it down. And the magnet, I guess, is there to kind of offset the vertical distance. All right, so I'm going to install all these and then we're going to go to the next process. All right, so these are in. Now I'm going to grab the provided plexiglass here and put it right in here. So what we're doing is we're just going to try to center it. And the whole point here is you want to, you know, clamp the corners down. That way this thing is firmly held in place. All right, so I do have it somewhat clamped in there. So we might have to adjust it. Let's go ahead and turn on the printer and change our tool head to CNC. All right, so we got to restart the machine. All right, so now we're in the CNC mode. Okay, place the objects, move the axes, and set the origin. All right, so we placed the object. So our next step is to move axes. And so what we're going to do is we're going to manually bring this tip down to here. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to center it on the object that we are about to work on. All right guys, so I decided to take off the tape off the acrylic because I think that's how we're supposed to do it. And second of all, we can see better how to center this tip here. So basically we're going to use the axes to move the tip to the center. Now we're going to go to Y and move that also a little bit. That looks pretty good right there. And now for the Z, what you're going to do is you're going to use a piece of paper. And so you're going to snug up the paper between what you're cutting up and the tip. So once you get some resistance there, that should be good right there. Now we can go ahead and click Set Origin, and that'll save it. So now the machine knows where to work off of. So if everything looks good, then we're going to go to our SD card, click CNC carving file there, and it should start. And it looks like it's going straight up. And the blade is on. So it's slowly moving somewhere. Okay, so it looks like it's making a perimeter. I think it's giving you a preview of where it's gonna cut. So you don't, hit the brackets. I guess it's kind of going around in a circle to show you what space it needs. So now it's almost on this side, just making a full circle. All right, looks like we have contact, guys. It's kind of hard to see it because everything's so clear, but it's definitely engraving. I can see it. So we're not very deep into the acrylic there, but I don't think we are supposed to be. But I can definitely see the draw pattern on there. It looks like we did everything right, so let's see what happens. All right, so it looks like it's finished, and it took 3 hours and 11 minutes. And also there's some dust all over the printer, so it does get a little dusty. So let's go ahead and loosen it. All right, so we definitely can see that it produced an image. So it looks like this just needs to be wiped down. Yep, that's exactly what needs to happen. So I'm gonna wipe it down and take a closer look at it. All right, so I wiped it off, and here you can see how nice it turned out. Sorry for the reflections, but yeah, that is quite impressive. It did an excellent job. And obviously you can carve, you know, in different kind of material. It doesn't have to be plexiglass like this. You can carve into wood, you can carve into foam, or anything, you know, you want to, I guess. Alright guys, well, as you can see, this printer is quite impressive and it does a lot of things. Not only can it print your normal FDM printing, it can also do dual color. So that in itself is pretty awesome. We obviously get laser engraving and CNC capabilities from one machine. So that in itself is quite an achievement, but this machine goes even farther, and that it has linear rails on all axes. And you probably noticed by now the machine is nicely blacked out, so it looks very clean and futuristic. The bed is 180 squared, heated, and also comes with a flexible magnetic built surface. And not to mention, we got this pretty cool little light up here that glows. So this machine is really aimed at someone that wants to have everything in one package. Now, obviously, when you do that, you're gonna have some compromises here and there. But it seems like here with my experience that there's not really that much compromises. There is a little bit of more delay time in certain functions, but overall it's tolerable considering what this machine can do. And as you saw guys there, I did not have any issues with operating any of the interchangeable tool heads and changing them and starting a new print. So overall, I would have to say this machine has a very good and logical workflow. So if you're interested in a machine that can do all these things in one frame, then I think you would enjoy this machine a lot because of all the versatility. And I can totally see someone that does hobbies and crafts that are maybe a little more advanced would definitely appreciate what this thing has to offer. Alright guys, well hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, then hit that like button. If you want to pick up this EcubMaker 4-in-1 3D printer, then I'm going to have some links in the description, so check those out. And if you enjoy videos like this, I do a lot of 3D printing stuff and other interesting things on this channel, so if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button to see more. And as always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.